Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. We're here. We're live. And I'm seeing a lot of crashing out. I'm seeing a lot of fallout. I'm seeing a lot of revisionism. I'm seeing a lot of hindsight 2020. Hussam, 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 you're in here early. Are you stalking me? This is now the second stream that you have come in and said something. Are you stalking me, Hussam? Do you have my notifications on? Do you get a little ding every time I go live? You're depressed. I hear you. I mean, listen, but brother, you're outside. You're outside. All good. I was going to invite you, but you're outside. All good. Stay safe, by the way. Stay safe, Hussam. Big up. Hope you're well. But listen. If you're surprised, you need a real reality check in your life. If you're shocked, you need a real reality check. You've been asleep. If there's any piece of you that's angry, you've been asleep. You've been ignoring the problem. I'm not Muslim. I'm not Muslim. But big up to all those who are fasting. Big up. But I'm not Muslim, so no, I'm not fasting. I'm not any organized religion. I don't believe in organized religion, but I also don't tell you what to follow. So I try to keep religion out of the conversation. But if you're fasting, big up. Hope your fast goes well. Listen, if you're shocked or you're upset or you're angry, respectfully, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. If you have any complaints about the game against Spurs, I don't want to hear it. My ears are closed. The office is shut. We don't have an open door policy here. It's not office hours. I don't care about your fucking complaints if you're angry about us drawing to Spurs. There were a lot of people who sat here 6 months ago and said, guys, this isn't the worst that it's going to get. This is only the beginning of how bad it will become. What did they respond with? Oh, there's no way. There's no way. That's not possible. That's not possible. The response to the outrage that people had in October was, you're jumping the gun. Relax. We're going to turn it around. They can't be this bad. This is why, from this moment forward, I want Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards to get the fuck out of the football club. We're not being run right now. We're not being coached. We're not being coached. We're not executing on the pitch. We're not getting results, and we're not being run. It is a total clusterfuck, an absolute disaster. This club is in need of a purge, a full purge. From top down, everyone has to go. And pretty soon, I'm going to start looking at FSG, and I'm going to say, you have been so negligent that you need to get out of my football club. At this point, it is scary. Before it was a joke, right? Before it was a joke. Before it was like, you know what? fuck Arne Slot. He's a bald bastard. Fuck the Dutch. Yada yada yada. It was a joke. It was something that you could laugh at. Because listen, you bet your sweet ass last season that Man City fans were laughing at themselves. Now I'm not trying to say that we're Man City, right? Like they won 4 straight Premier Leagues and they won a treble. But last year they were laughing. They were like, you know what? This was due. We were due for a drop in form. We were due to not win the title. So they laughed it off. But now it's not a joke anymore. Now it's sad. Now you're starting to fully realize, oh my God, I'm dead. You've woken up in purgatory. You are conscious within purgatory, and you're like, oh my God, what do I do? You finally had that realization. The realization that many people had in October, that it doesn't matter what players you give him. It doesn't matter who on our team we start. The system is rotten at its core. Everyone plays a level below what they're capable of. Guys, a year and a half ago, this team wasn't even a fraction as bad. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and say that all 20 players just dropped 5 levels in 18 months. That's not possible. Just based on science and aging, that's literally not possible. That's something that had to have been conditioned within you. That's something that had to have been trained. Again, I'm going to use something very specific to hammer home my point. Yesterday, in the 95th minute, we saw a 4-on-2 counterattack. We saw Hugo Ekitike running alongside Federico Chiesa, Mohamed Salah, and Dominic Szoboszlai at 2 Spurs defenders. A 4-on-2. What happened? Well, number 1, my striker carried the ball 20 yards too far. Number 2, Federico Chiesa does a world-class job to get the ball back in the middle of the box. Number 3, my striker gets goal hungry and doesn't lay it off to a wide open Szoboszlai. Number 4, it gets deflected by Dragusin and then cleared. Now, is this the first counterattack that we've seen in recent weeks? Liverpool just completely fuck up? No. Are Liverpool guilty of slowing down play in transition? Yes. Do we seek out counterattacks at any time? No. Do we try to slow down play every time we get the ball? Yes. What does that tell you? If all of your counterattacks are poor, what does that tell you? Also, I'm not blaming Hugo Ekitike. He waited too long, 100%. And Ekitike has been in poor form. Absolutely. What that tells me is that this team doesn't train counterattacks. That's all that tells me. All this tells me is that every week in practice, we don't spend time running 4-on-2s. That's the only logical explanation. The only logical explanation is that we don't spend any time on the training pitch in odd man rushes. We don't. Now, what do we know? Well, under Jurgen Klopp, we spent a hell of a lot of time doing that. Because it didn't matter who was on the ball. If we had a counter, you were like, we have a great chance at scoring. Didn't matter who had it. I don't think that this team plays to get counters, which doesn't make sense because even last season, that's the only way we scored. Like, we played a possession-based system, but the only way that we scored was through counterattacks and transition. But we never set up to hit on the transition. Like, all that tells me is that Ekitike was in a position that he's just not familiar with. That tells me that Ekitike, he never is the guy carrying the ball on an odd man rush in training because he didn't know what to do. Chiesa was open for at least 20 yards. For 20 yards, Ekitike could have played that ball to his left. When he finally decides to do it, he takes 3 extra touches, one that's too heavy, that almost leads to a deflection that falls behind Chiesa. Chiesa does a world-class job at getting that ball back in the middle, but then Ekitike just loses his brain and hits a blind shot rather than laying it off to a wide-open Szoboszlai. But I'm fully confident that no matter who had that ball, we would not have figured out a way to score. Because we can't play in transition anymore. Because this manager doesn't coach this team to play in transition. The revelation that I had from yesterday is that we truly are one-dimensional. We truly are utterly one-dimensional. And that one dimension is just individual brilliance. That's it. That's Liverpool in a nutshell this season. Individual brilliance. We either have it or we don't. But we don't play as a team. We don't score as a team. We don't win as a team. We win as individuals. But again, I want to roll it back a little bit. Because there's a lot of people that are up in arms about the draw. And Hussam, I told you on your show, I think that Spurs are going to get something. Because Spurs are going to field an 11 that they haven't fielded all season, and they're going to play in a way that they haven't played all season. They did both those things, and it caught Slot by surprise, because that's what he tells us. That's what he says what happens. And the last time we played Spurs, before yesterday, 9 men almost drew against us. 9 men. A 9-man Spurs. A 9-man Spurs side was dominating possession. 9 guys was dominating possession against 11. But you had confidence that you were going to beat the Spurs team. People seem to forget that if Spurs didn't have one of the 3 blind mice in goal against Atletico Madrid, that game ends 2-2. Like, Spurs technically weren't bad against Atletico Madrid. Their goalie gave away 3 goals. That's 2-2. From open play, that's 2-2 if you remove the goalkeeper from the situation. That's not that bad. Against Atletico Madrid, away. But here's the thing. You guys are going to say, we're not beating Galatasaray. You guys are going to say, there's no way. There's no way we could beat the Turkish giants. There's no way. Well,
I can feel it down in my plums.
We're going to go through. We're going to go through. Because the most Liverpool thing to do would be to draw against the most out-of-form side in the Premier League and then beat Galatasaray. That would be the most Liverpool thing to do. That would be what's like the most. There we go, Aaron. There we go, Aaron.
Let the boy watch.
There we go, Aaron. But that would be the most Liverpool thing we could possibly do, is go through against Galatasaray after drawing to Spurs in a game that we should have lost against Spurs. Here's another thing. You guys need to be grateful. You guys need to be grateful that we even drew, because we didn't deserve a point. Spurs were the better team. Richarlison missed chance after chance. Spurs, Aaron Richards, I'm not making that claim off of form or anything. I'm making that claim off of just straight up feeling. At this point, my gut has pointed me in the right direction. My gut has told me what I need to know. I'm following my gut now because my intuition has been on it this season. And that just feels like, 2026 Liverpool draw to Spurs, beat Galatasaray, go through to PSG. That's what feels right. And I don't have any basis to make this claim on. That's just what feels right. But the issue that we have at this club now is indecision. I told you guys months ago. I told you guys in December when they released that circle jerk of a cuckold round table. I believed that at that point in time, the boardroom was completely divided. I believed that for the last 4 months, one half of the board has wanted to sack Arne Slot, and the other half of the board has wanted to keep him. Because of that divide, we have had total indecision across the board. Because of that indecision, we have found ourselves in purgatory. That is the only logical explanation for what's going on. Because what we're seeing is indecision. What we're seeing is lack of directive. No one is taking the helm. No one is steering the ship. We're just letting the wind take us wherever it takes us. We've lost our compass. It's gone. At this point, we're trying to use the sun, which doesn't make any sense because the sun is in a different position half of the day. We don't know if we're going east. We don't know if we're going west. We're just following the sun, which essentially means you're going in circles. And no one wants to be the guy to say, you know what? I know how to make a compass. Follow me. We don't have anyone in the organization right now who's making that decision, who says, I will lead the way. I'm showing the way. That's the real problem. And I look at this fan base and I see what people say, and I'm just thinking to myself, what are you watching? Like, for the love of God, please just
shut the fuck up.
That's all I'm asking. All I'm asking from you is to just shut the fuck up for a second and open your eyes. Just open your eyes, brother. It isn't that difficult. This isn't that complex of a problem. Let's break it all down. We have one section of the fan base that says we don't have the proper players to play a certain way. Okay, if that's true, and we have continued to try to play that certain way without the proper players, then it is the manager's fault. Yes or no? Well, boom, right there. The pillar that you have been building your argument on is completely destroyed. If we don't have the proper players to play the way that you want to play, yet you continue to play that way, that is your fault, not the players. Your fault. If Cody Gakpo is not a good touchline winger and can't beat his fullback one-on-one, but you do it every week, you don't have a personnel issue. You have a style issue. You are misusing him. That's your fault. If Mohamed Salah at 34 years old is being asked to be a touchline winger, but he's just not creating and he's just not getting help and he's just not beating his fullback, yet you do it every week, you don't have a player issue. That's your fault. If the midfield can't control the game, if Ryan Gravenberch can't make a 40-yard pass in traffic, yet every week you put him in a position to make a 40-yard pass in traffic every time he gets the ball, That's not a player issue. That's your fault. If Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate keep getting burned, but your midfield is never in the right position because they're always overextended because everyone's so far apart, that's not a defensive awareness issue. That's your fault. But what about the other side of the coin? What happens if we flip it? The problem is that you can't flip it. There is no inverse to this argument. Because you have changed it before. You have run a diamond midfield. You've played with 4 midfielders. You've played with players in position and you've won games, but then you've gone away from it and you've gone back to what you want to do. The problem is that the way that Liverpool should be playing is the way that Slot doesn't want to play. But Slot doesn't want to do that. He wants to play the way that he wants to play. And every time we play the way that he wants to play, we look like shit and we need to rely on individual brilliance. And, right now we just don't have the form to consistently give that. Again, I ask you, who wants to see Dominic Szoboszlai in right back when Jeremy Frimpong is healthy? Who wants to see Dominic Szoboszlai at right back when Jeremy Frimpong is healthy? Who wants to see Cody Gakpo on a pitch in the country of England? At this point, I would like to revoke his visa, send him back to the Netherlands. No one. Who wants to see Andrew Robertson starting over Milos Kerkez? Who wants to see Joe Gomez starting over Ibrahima Konate? Who wants to see Alexis McAllister starting over Curtis Jones? Who wants to see Florian Wirtz on the left wing? Who wants to see Cody Gakpo in the number 9? Who wants to see Mohamed Salah as a touchline winger? This is the problem. You see, this is all the problem is that we have a lot of small-minded individuals who watch the game. We have a lot of people who don't understand football at its basic core. We have a lot of people who are incapable of comprehending football beyond surface level knowledge. If I'm playing players out of position and I'm putting players in a position to fail and they fail, should I be surprised? Should I blame the player? If you had a child and you left your child home with a bucket of paint and you said, please don't paint the walls, and you left, would you blame your child if he painted your walls? Would you? Well, listen, you would be happy if he didn't, but would you blame him if he did? No, I would say you're a fucking moron for leaving a kid at home with a bucket of paint, dipshit. Wake the fuck up, loser. So why are we going at players when the system is fundamentally flawed? I told you guys that the way that we build up is like how a Turkish horse spreads her legs. It's just, that's our build-up structure. It's wide fucking open. Wide open. Spreading our legs. Fucking cheek to cheek. But you want to go after Ryan Gravenberch for not being on it. You want to go after Dominic Szoboszlai for not being on it. You want to go after McAllister for not being on it. But you want to ignore the fact that we are spreading our legs open and saying, please enter inside of me. What are we doing? Well, the reason why I said that is because it doesn't matter at this point. I've wanted Slot gone since October. But you don't hear me saying get him out of my club every week because you've already failed me. I don't care anymore. I have no when Dominic Soboslai's free kick went in, do you know what my reaction was? There you go. That's how I reacted. I don't care. I have no passion for this club. You've already killed me. I'm defeated. I'm defeated. I give up. I gave up. I'd like to think that I have a strong will, but every man has its breaking point, and I've already broke. Oh, my reaction to the Tottenham goal? Watch this. Of course. Of course. Of course. I knew it. I knew it. Well in. Well in. That's how I reacted. And then, of course, after the goal goes in, my head just went right to this.
No, 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 no. We're completely fucked, completely fucked. We're completely fucked.
Straight there. Like a laser beam. Because what else do you expect? When am I going to Anfield? I will go to Anfield when Arne Slot is gone. I do need to get my passport renewed. Thank you for reminding me. I do need to get my passport renewed. But I will go when Arne Slot is out of there. Sure. I mean, right now going to Anfield is kind of like going to a library. It's louder. My PC makes more noise from its fans than our fans make at Anfield. My PC is louder than Anfield. The PC that's underneath my desk is louder than Anfield. So I don't need to spend $3,000 to cross the sea to get an Airbnb to watch my team be a cuckold of thee. So, hey, a little poetry for you. I don't need to do that. It's just not on top of my list of things to do. There are much more effective uses of my time and money. Again, the number one issue at this football club is indecision. We don't have a pathfinder. We don't have a navigator. We don't have a leader. I have a bald cuck. I got a bald Dutch cuck who makes every excuse in the book for why he's not a cuck. But I'm convinced that Arne Slot sits there and enjoys watching his wife get fucked by another man because he is a cuck. He is a cuck. He is a loser. He will always be a loser. He's arrogant. He's egotistical. He's emotionless. He is not what I want to see out of a manager. He's cold. He's a moron. It is not, he's not, there's nothing that's positive about Arne Slot. I mean, he also just happens to have the most punchable face that a man could possess. If I could draw a picture of a punchable face, I would just put Arne Slot on the screen and I would say, could you imagine not rocking that guy? If that guy bumped into me at a bar, just the easiest fucking deck of my life. Just bang, pop him. But it's just like the thing that drives me absolutely insane is that every excuse that's made for him, like all of your excuses are quite literally indirect criticisms. Every excuse that you line up for Arne Slot is actually a blame on Arne Slot. It's like you're trying to save him. But every excuse that you make is his fault. It's Arne Slot's fault that Rio Angamoa has barely played this season. It's Arne Slot's fault that Mohamed Salah is playing as a touchline winger. It's Arne Slot's fault that we can't break teams down who are in a mid block. It's Arne Slot's fault that every player is forced to make a 40-yard pass. It's Arne Slot's fault that there's no mentality in this team. It's Arne Slot's fault that we play super slow. It's Arne Slot's fault that we can't counterattack. Every single excuse that you could make for the manager is the manager's fault, because this had to have been trained into these players. No, Eric Ten Hag is better than Arne Slot. But here's the thing. They're also going to say, but Arne Slot is the most winningest manager in the first 100 games. Yeah, you're right. And Arne Slot could be the first manager to relegate Liverpool. Two things can be true at the same time. Two things can be true at the same time. Arne Slot did win a league in his first season, in a league where I don't think second place finished on 80 points. He did do that. He did do that. He did win the league in his first season. He did win the league in his first season. But in the second half of that season, Arne Slot looked terrible. He had just built up a cushion. It was also the least competitive title race that we had seen in the last however many years. It was also with another man's team. It was also with a team that you got rid of like six of the players. It's with a much different team, with a much different style that you changed mid-season and then became terrible. You also got embarrassed in the Carabao Cup final. You also won the league with like 5 games to go, and then you didn't win another game the rest of the season. You didn't end on a high note. You ended on a low. You didn't even win the last game of the season. You didn't even win the last game of the season. But that's okay, because we were singing, because we were drunk. It was a joke then. It's not a joke now. You also won the league because Mohamed Salah set the GA record. No one likes to talk about how Mo Salah is the only reason why we won the league, not Arne Slot. Without Mo Salah last season, we probably finished 5th. Probably finish 5th. If we don't have Mo, we probably finish 5th. Probably lose at least 20 points without Mo Salah. And of course, what do you see now? Mo's not carrying us, so this is Arne Slot. You know, the real hindsight revisionism is that Arne Slot was never good. Mo Salah just bailed him out. Arne Slot was never the guy. Mo Salah just bailed him out. And what happened when Mo Salah dried out? What happened in the second half of the season when Mo stopped scoring and stopped assisting? Because there was a run of games through the first half of the season where Mo scored or assisted in every single game. What happened when that dried out? The team looked like shit. When Mo went dry, the team looked terrible. And then what did Slot do this season? He hung Mo out to dry. And what did he do against Tottenham? In an act of defiance, he starts Jeremy Frimpong at right wing with Dominic Szoboszlai at right back so that Alexis McAllister can start, because he's a fucking moron. The funny thing is that all of Slot's, attempts to create a solution, it's just made the problem worse because he's a fucking idiot and he has no idea what he's doing. The revisionism is that Mo Salah is the reason why Arne Slot even came close to winning a Premier League title. Hey, he who dares, relax. Relax. Okay? Calm down. If you have negative energy, you point it towards me, not towards other people. Because I can defend myself without a 200 character limit. Exactly. Exactly, dude. Exactly. Although Soboslai isn't Rodri, but I understand your point. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And guess where we conceded the goal from? Could you imagine if we had an actual right back in there? Probably wouldn't have conceded that goal. I actually do think that we are desperately missing Luis Diaz and Darwin Núñez. But that's just because of their pressing ability. That's not because of their goal scoring or because of their assists. It's just the work that they did off the ball out of possession. We're desperately missing that. But also, Slot doesn't know how to press. Slot doesn't know how to play in England. Did I want Gerrard? No. I just wanted anyone whose name wasn't Slot. I've already given this. I do think that we are going to go through because I have no basis to make this claim. I have no basis to make this claim. I'm not basing my claim off of anything football related. It is a gut feeling that the most Liverpool thing that we could do this season would be to drop points to Spurs and go through against Galatasaray. That would be the most Liverpool thing. That's the only reason why I'm saying we're going through. I'm not giving any analysis. I'm not telling you any strategy. I'm not giving you anything. It is fully based off of pattern. What has been the common pattern? That's what I'm saying. So if you're looking for analysis on that game, you come to the wrong place. Because on paper, we should be getting fucked 4-0. On paper, we should get bopped off the fucking pitch. On paper, the empty chairs should be making more noise than the cop because we're getting eviscerated. You got it. Fully based on vibe. It is just a gut feel. I'm like one of those horoscope chicks that makes full judgments on you based on the day that you were born. Oh my God, you're a Pisces? Get the fuck away from me. That is the representation of what my prediction is. I'm making a prediction like a white girl makes a judgment based on your fucking sign. Hey, big up, bro. Hey, guys, go subscribe to Michael Levine Comedy. That's where I'm going to be putting most of my effort towards. Michael Levine. I had to take my mother's maiden name because I've never made any content with that name. And I don't want people to get confused. And also, it's more Jewish. It's more Jewish. You can't lie. With Michael Levine, Jews will be like, oh, he's a Jew. Bang. I'm a Jew, so I can say that shit. It's not anti-Semitic. It's called self-deprecation. Prediction lineup, Cody, Ekatike, Salah, Mac, Sobo, Grav, Frimpong, Konate, Virgil, Kirkes. There you go. Full prediction. It's funny though, because like when you actually read it, you're like, wow, these generalizations have so much to do with me. But therein lies the trap. They're generalizations. So of course they do. They're supposed to be general statements. So listen. Wednesday is full vibe. Full vibes. Full vibes. Full on vibes. Nothing but vibes. That's how I feel it's going to be. I do feel bad. I do feel bad. I do feel bad. But listen, man. I'm not going to tell other people how to spend their money. I'm not going to tell other people what to do with their No, brother. Michael Levine. Come on. How do you not know how to spell Levine? Levine. But I'm not going to tell other people how to spend their money, but if I were you, the last thing that I would spend money on is this football club. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money. All I will tell you is that if it were my money, the last thing I would spend it on would be Liverpool Football Club. At this point, I don't think that the rapture could sack Arne Slot. I don't think that divine intervention, if God Almighty came onto the pitch and commanded Liverpool to sack Arne Slot, they would tell him to fuck off. That's my opinion. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. In October, guys, I hate to be that guy to remind you, and I hate to be such a Jew and pocket watch, but Arne Slot lost 2-1 away to Crystal Palace. And then he took 2 weeks off, and he took £300,000 of Liverpool's money. And then he showed up to the park, Anfield, to play Manchester United. Didn't change a thing and lost 2-1 again. And we didn't sack him. He lost 9 games out of 12. He lost 3-0 at home to Crystal Palace, 3-0 at home to Nottingham Forest, 4-1 at home to PSV. We have picked up 19 points against the bottom 8 sides. We have dropped 19 points against the bottom 8 sides. 19 points against the bottom 8. Guys, if we just picked up 10 more points against the bottom 8, the world would be so different. But we live in fine margins, and in fine margins, Arne Slot is a fucking bitch-made cuck. He's a loser. He sucks. He especially sucks when Mo Salah isn't there to bail him out. The blind loyalty to Arne Slot has to do with the mentality problem at the club. It has to do with the club wanting to be different than everyone else, not wanting to be compared to anyone else. It's a loyalty issue. It's a culture issue. The fan base has too much pride. Pride is one of the 7 sins. Now, I'm not a Christian. Okay, I'm not a believer in Jesus Cristo. But one of the 7 deadly sins is pride. And something that this club is awfully guilty of is having an unfounded sense of pride, having way too much pride. Sometimes you have to humble yourself. You got to kick your own ass. Sometimes you need to be honest and say, I'm a fucking loser. I need to change my life. That's not negativity. That's called being real. Sometimes you need to look in the mirror and say, I need to figure it the fuck out because no one is going to kick down my door and save me. But Liverpool have too much pride, and they won't admit that. That is the main crux of the problem. And they'll never admit it because someone who's prideful would never admit that they're prideful. Hence, the contradiction of pride. That's the fallacy. You don't want to admit it, even though deep down you know. They don't want to sack Arne Slot because they don't want to be like Chelsea. They don't want to be greedy. They want to be grateful. You know, for a club that touts themselves for being one of the biggest clubs in the world, we sure hang on to our titles for decades. Before Jurgen Klopp brought our 6th Champions League, all Liverpool had for 15 years to say was, but I won it in 05. I've got more Champions Leagues than you, even though I haven't won one in 15 years. That's all they had. And then Klopp brought you a Champions League and a Premier League, and then you got greedy and you said, I'm the big man now. Look at how many titles I have, even though only one of them is a fucking Premier League. Last year, now we got 2. But I've got 20. Only 2 of them are in the last 30 years, though. The biggest problem that I think Liverpool has is that most of the fans lack humility. And, you know, when you have too much pride, you tend to lack humility. You tend to lack the ability to be humble. And that lack of humility makes it impossible for you to view things objectively. Because if you're prideful, you're selfish. And if you're selfish, you're not objective. And if you're not objective, you're a bitch. It's just the academy. It's just the academy. They got a lightened sentence because they self-reported. It's just the academy. And it's just for 1 year. So they can't make any academy transfers for a year. Whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-fucking-doo. I've already said this. I want Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards out of my football club. I don't care how this season ends. I want them gone. Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards no longer have a place in my Liverpool Football Club. Absolutely. He doesn't deserve to be here. He doesn't deserve this gaslighting. Mo Salah doesn't deserve these ungrateful, moronic fans who don't know how to fucking view football. Mo Salah doesn't deserve this. Mo Salah doesn't deserve the criticism of morons. No one wants to view it objectively. Y'all just want to point the finger and blame at one individual. And Mo Salah has been your talisman for years, and so you're just going to blame him. But that's because you're too fucking stupid to view the game. You can't even analyze the game. You can't tell me the difference between a mid-block, a low block, and a high press. But you want to blame Salah for our lack of results. That's because you're a fucking moron. So no, Mo doesn't deserve this. Please sell him. He does not deserve this. And these fans don't deserve him. My only criticism of Mo Salah this season is that he's been poor in front of goal. But you know what? That's okay. Because for 10 years, you weren't. For 10 years, you were the most clinical guy on my team. It's okay. I don't blame you, Mo. And yet still somehow you're one of my top goal scorers. So it is what it is. I feel really bad for Mo. I feel really bad for all the players because they're being hung out to dry by this manager. And what I'm going to say now is what I think is currently happening. I believe that the reason why the individual performances of all of our players has dropped is because the players don't respect Arne Slot. The players don't believe in Arne Slot. The players believe that they are not capable. The players have no confidence. The players don't have a manager to die for. That's why you see Curtis Jones come on the pitch and act like a ghost. That's why you see Mohamed Salah ghost. That's why you see any player ghost. They don't want to die for the manager. They don't want to leave it all out on the field because they don't believe in him. It is a manager's job to unite the mentality of all 11 players. All 11 players have to think as one. It's not 11 individuals. It's one being. Great football teams are a collection of 11 players that make up one organism. And that one organism is what gets you over the line. We don't have an organism. We are not a team. We are a collection of individuals. And none of them believe in the man at the helm of the ship. Are you guys familiar with the term mutiny? A bad patch? 16 months is a bad patch? Shut the fuck up, dude. Are you guys familiar with the term mutiny? You guys understand what that is? So there was a point in time in history where we didn't get planes, right? Like you couldn't just hop on a plane and go to England. You had to board a ship and you had to sail for 2 months to cross the ocean. That's a very troublesome journey. That's 2 months at sea. You can't go anywhere. What are you going to do if you lose your head on a boat? You're going to jump off and swim to shore? You're going to swim for 2,000 miles, big guy? What are you going to do if you lose your marbles on a ship in the middle of the fucking Atlantic Ocean? Not a whole lot that you can do. That's why great captains are able to shift the mentality of the crew. Give me a second. Great captains, which is technically what a manager is. Great captains are who the crew follows. And if the captain loses his marble, then there's a mutiny. The ship takes over, they throw the captain overboard, and they put a new guy in charge. And they say, hey, buddy, your turn. Let's go. Where are we going? The problem is that Liverpool don't have a captain at the helm. Liverpool we don't have anyone steering the ship. And what I see on the pitch is a mutiny. Metaphorically speaking, it's a mutiny. Players are just not leaving it out there. And I don't blame them because the manager doesn't inject anything into this team other than doubt. The manager doesn't give us energy. The manager doesn't give us hope. The style of play doesn't give us hope or energy. And so you're telling me you want these guys to just feed off the crowd week in, week out? This isn't the Coliseum, buddy. These guys aren't playing for their lives. You know, your name isn't Maximus Decimus Meridius. It's not like if you make a mistake, you're dead. You make a mistake, you go home, you get a blowjob, you fucking drive your $300,000 car and you're chilling. You know, this isn't the fucking Coliseum. This isn't 750 AD. There's not exactly heavy consequences for not performing. Not to mention you're getting paid 250 grand a week. It's the manager's job to keep you humble, to make sure that you show some humility, to keep belief in yourself. And a lot of people overlook the mental aspect of the sport. When a manager has destroyed the fabric and the mentality of this club to this level, I can't blame the players for not showing up to me. I can't. Because I know that if I were on that pitch, I would be committing mutiny. I know that if I were a player for Liverpool, I would be actively defying my manager. I would be actively resenting my manager. I would find it to be the most difficult way to perform. If I had to go out week in, week out for a guy I didn't believe in and die for a guy I didn't believe in, I would find that very difficult. In fact, I'm not sure I could do it. Week in, week out, I don't think I could do it. Maybe here and there I could, if the occasion was right. But I really don't think that I could. And I don't think that you could either. I don't think any of you could. Because we're not them. There's a reason why we're not on the pitch. There's a reason why you're not a professional footballer getting paid £250,000 a week. There's a reason. And there's a reason why you're not a coach of players who make £250,000 a week, but you can still view the game and you can still have opinions. But you can't put yourself on that pitch. You can't put yourself in the mind of the players. All you can do is read their body language. And when I read their body language, I don't see a fucking molecule of belief. I see a bunch of players hoping that someone else will rise above. That's what I see. I don't know about you, but that's what I see. I see a bunch of guys hoping that someone else takes the burden. Got a fucking little dot here. I see a bunch of guys hoping that someone else carries the boat. That's what I see. That's okay. That's fine. But if that's what you see, then you have to blame the captain. If the crew starts a mutiny, you got to blame the captain. Because a good captain would never allow the conditions for a mutiny. And therein is the metaphor. Great captains don't have a crew that rebels. Because a great captain doesn't give their crew a reason to rebel. We have a poor captain. Therefore, we have a mutiny. Therefore, we have the season that we've been given. An utter waste of a year. Every 90 minutes that we watch of this team is 90 minutes that we could have been doing something else with our life. That's what it feels to be a Liverpool fan in 2026. I just spent 90 minutes doing something that I shouldn't have done. And now I feel worse for it. And now I'm going to go waste more time to drink away my sorrows. Welcome to 2026 in Liverpool. That's your life. Doesn't make any sense. But we want to blame the players, right? We don't want to look at the captain. We want to blame the players. And Virgil van Dijk is not the captain. Arne Slot is. Arne Slot is the one steering the ship. Because it's a tragedy, Mr. Beast. It's a tragedy. But what are you going to do, man? I could sit here and talk for fucking 8 hours, and the end result is the same.
No. We're completely fucked, completely fucked. We're completely fucked.
You want to know what I think Turkey's going to be doing on Wednesday? A whole lot of this.
So long, gay boys.
Simple. It's probably what's going to happen. It's probably what's going to happen. And you're going to lose your mind because
You lack discipline.
you lack discipline. You lack discipline. And if we go through against Galatasaray, I guarantee you all of you will be saying,
What the fuck is that?
more people will be like, what the fuck? I genuinely think if we go through against Galatasaray, more people would be like, oh my God. Oh, you want me to do Cartman?
I'm a little better than everyone else here.
I mean, I am. I've been calling this for months. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. It's all good. What are you going to do, you know? Give me a second. Hang on. All right. This is my other account. I just posted it in the chat. That's where I'm spending most of my time and most of my effort creating things. I will not be back. Found some errors. What the fuck you doing? I will not be back until at least after the Galatasaray game. I will not be back tomorrow. We'll see how it goes on Wednesday. And then, I'll see what I decide to do. And if I feel like showing face. But I'll tell you one thing. If we go through against Galatasaray, I definitely won't be here. Because I won't need to say anything. If we go through against Galatasaray, I just want you to remember one thing.
Not the kind of person to say I told her so, but you know what? I told her so. I fucking told her so.
If we go through against Galatasaray, that's all I want you to think. I told her so. I told her so. That's a problem for a different day, brother. That's a problem for a different day. Either way, I hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your fine Monday. Enjoy the rest of your week. I don't know when I'll be back, but at some point I will be. Stay strong on Wednesday. Fight the good fight behind your computer or wherever you're going to be watching the game. Remember, when life gets down, think of England, and life gets a little bit better. Always look on the bright side of life. You know what I mean? Big up Monty Python, my favorite Brits. Always look on the bright side of life. And if we do go out against Galatasaray, know that more than likely Arne Slot will be sacked. I know that I've been saying that he will stay. But if we don't progress past the round of 16, the club will be like, okay, this is DEFCON 1. We're done. So that would be the silver lining. But I would at least like to lose to PSG again. I fart in your general direction. Your mother smells of hamsters, and your father smelt of elderberries. Now go away before I taunt you a second time. Big up. Take care. I'll see you when I see you.